Hello everyone and welcome to Action RPG Build Guide Edition. Today I'm ready to drop on you my final form endgame guide for SRS Arsonist. Clearing all content, it is an absolute monster. As always, I will cover every single facet of the build. Everything is timestamped in the description below if you need to bounce around. Let's not waste any time and jump right into this. Starting off with some gameplay. Now what you're looking at right now is fully juiced T15 maps, and we are spec'd into, of course, our SRS Arsonist. Now the skills we are using for this build, we are now in double offerings, so we're using pain and bone offerings. You don't always have to use both of them, but you do get a big boost, which I will explain in the passive tree, and they do a lot for your minion army. We are also using double curse, so we're using enfeeble as an aura and flammability to reduce enemies' fire resistances. For our actual minion army, we have our loyal Hellhound. We have up to 11 Arsonists and up to 10 SRS, and the SRS are triggered from Flame Wall that is now spec'd into Fortress and Spell Cascade. Now the Flame Wall will only make 5 SRS. You still have to cast it twice to get the 10, but the Arsonists, when they are chucking their bombs, if they pass through the Flame Wall, they become ignited and they do more damage. And it's much easier for them to do that when you have Spell Cascade. So even though I've already put out 2 guides for Fire Necro, this is like the final guide. At least I think so. Again, pushing the hardest content on mapping, and we have updated our gear, updated our passive tree, and updated all the skills with everything that I've learned in the now over 200 hours I have played Path of Exile 2. And you'll see from this video, we're fully juiced T15. We're just friggin' walking through this. And we are literally walking through this. Now, what I'm going to show off is a boss fight. Yesterday, we made it to one of the citadels where you fight the lieutenants or sergeants on your way to the pinnacle boss. This is the Act 1 juiced wolf boss, and I'm going to show you that now.
Watch out!
All right, phase 1 done. Ow.
I will take out your heart.
His life is just disintegrating. Right. Damn. He didn't even get to the phase where he jumps through the cloud.
So now let's break down the skills for my new and improved Fire Necro, which for our scepter, we are currently using Malice, which is going to give us critical weakness. And on here, we are using Clarity, and it costs 10 Spirit, which isn't too bad, but you're going to get 30% increased mana regen. Being Mind Over Matter, you're going to want that regen. Now, you could also use Summon Skeletal Warrior. They're both great scepters, but right now we are using critical weakness with Malice. Moving down to Summon Infernal Hound, we are now fully linked up. Since this is a full fire build, what you want is fire exposure, which will last 8 seconds on ignited enemies, and any enemy around your Hellhound will be ignited. We want to boost that exposure, and then we're going to maim, we are going to blind, and we are going to cull enemies with our Summon Infernal Hound. Now, if you are having any trouble keeping your Infernal Hound alive, you can go into some supports to boost life. But right now, I'm not struggling with that, so we're running it this way. Moving to our main damage dealer, and that is Summon Skeletal Arsonist. We are using Scatter Shot, so they have more projectiles, and know that multiple projectiles can hit the same target. We're using Immolate, which is just more or extra fire damage on top of that, but they can't ignite, which is fine because our Hellhound is doing all the igniting. We're using +1 to Fire Mastery skills and Tempo so that they attack quicker. Moving down to Raging Spirits, which is triggered from our Flame Wall. We have Feeding Frenzy, 30% multiplicative damage. Execute, 40% multiplicative damage to low-life enemies. Fire Infusion for extra fire damage. And we are using Fire Penetration. For our offerings, we are currently using 2 Pain Offering and Bone Offering, and you get a boost to your minions on the passive tree, which I will show you when you have 2 offerings up. And on here we have Rage, which is going to make our minions attack stronger. We have area of effect. We have skill duration, so it stays up longer, and then +1 to minion skills. On our bone offering, we're using Font of Blood and Font of Mana to boost health and mana regen, and Elemental Army, which is going to boost our elemental resistances for our minions. So bone offering is all around staying alive, and pain offering is all around boosting damage. For blasphemy, we have turned enfeeble into an aura. We're using bigger area of effect, and trigger wind wave when you are stunned for added security. And I gotta say, I run this on every build. I know not a lot of people do it. I love it. Having this green ring around you, you just feel so much safer, and you could push true endgame content. For our curse, second curse, we are using flammability, of course, which is going to lower enemies' resistances. I recommend getting this actually at a low level so it doesn't cost a ton of mana. And on here we have heightened curse, we have hex bloom so the curse spreads, and boost to attack speed so you can get it out quicker. Last but not least, summon Flame Wall. Now, Flame Wall technically doesn't do any damage, okay? But it is going to make SRS and the Arsonist projectiles that travel through the Flame Wall will get all fiery and inflamed and do more damage. So we have Spell Cascade, so you make 3 of them. We have Fortress, so it turns it into a circle, and then less movement penalty. Those are the skills. So now let's talk passive tree. At time of recording, I am level 90, and we are Spectre Ascended into an Infernalist. Now, for your Ascension, the first 2 points you want to use is get your Loyal Hellhound. And again, this does not cost Spirit, so you're getting free Ignite, free Awesome Minion, and no Spirit. You then want to come to the left and get Altered Flesh, and the main resistance you want to get at the beginning is Fire Resistance, because Cold and Lightning is taken as fire. Then you want to come down here and get Will, which is going to take 25% of your life, but your maximum life will basically translate into Spirit so that you can have a much larger army. And then if you ascend another time, you get 2 more points. Some people like coming down here and get Gaze, but you have to give up an additional 25% of your life for about 400 mana. I would likely just take the 2 life nodes or the maximum mana node. Okay. Now, again, I am level 90. Let me get you a shot of my passive tree. If you saw my last build, this is literally an identical passive tree. I am always tweaking and changing and moving things around, but I feel like it is in a really, really good place, and so far I haven't had any reason to change it. So if you want to get a screenshot, go ahead. It comes as far to the right as here, up here, and to the left here with the jewel socket. Okay. Now, on here at the beginning, you want to take all the minion nodes, snag all the minion nodes, get some mana regen, and then what you really want to focus on is minion revive time. So your minions take time to pop back up once they die, and you want to make that as little as possible. So the first thing you're going to do is come down here and get Living Death. Minions revive 15% faster, and you want to boost your maximum mana. You're then going to come to the right and snag this cluster here, because again, you have minion revive in here, because you want them to pop up quicker. You are then going to come to the left and snag this node, Relentless Dead. You guessed it, because your minions revive 25% faster. You're then going to head straight up north and snag this node, Lord of Horrors, which is going to be 12% reduced reservation cost. So not only do they pop up quicker, they also cost less. Now, there's a ton of other things on this tree that are important, but it depends on where you are at in the game. You've got a good cluster over here, which is minion maximum health, resistances, and damage. Once you are truly endgame, you want to take Mind Over Matter and Eldritch Battery. This converts all of your energy shield to mana, and this makes it where all damage is taken to mana before health. Great combination here. And I have pushed the most juiced maps you can literally make in the game, and I've had total survival. Well, not total survival, but great survivability in endgame. You also want to take Whispers of Doom. This is going to make it where you can use 2 curses. And I wanted to point out a newcomer to the build, which is this node right here. 40% increased minion damage while you have at least 2 active offerings. Now, since we have Pain and Bone offering, you want to make sure you take that because when you need it, you're going to have both offerings up and super boosting your minions with Lust of Sacrifice. So this is where we're at. My next 2 points. So if I make it to level 92, I don't know if we will, we'll go right here into minion damage and 40% increased critical strike chance. So my next 2 points go right here. That is the passive tree. So now let's break down the gear. What's great about this build is it does not require a specific unique. You don't got to go find a pair of gloves or boots or ring. Everything I am using is end game rare gear, and I will take you through it one by one. Starting with our scepter. Now for scepter, what you want as your main stat is of course increased spirit percent. My scepter gives us a level 18 malice, also gives 209 to spirit. I also have on here +3 to minion skill levels. This can go as high as 5 and almost 60% mana regen. Helmet, max life, max mana, plus to minion levels. Right now mine is 1. This can go as high as 2. Focus, double energy shield, max mana, int fire, mana regen. Body armor, energy shield, max life, spirit, double res. You want to get as much spirit as humanly possible. And you can get an implicit with spirit as well. Boots, movement speed, max life, max mana, triple resistance. Gloves, max life, max mana, energy shield, resistances. Belt, max life, max mana, chaos res, +2 charm slots. And right now I'm using immunity to freeze and immunity to stun. For my rings, max life, max mana, int fire, mana regen. Ring, max life, max mana, all resist, mana regen. Amulet, max life, max mana, +2 spirit, rarity, and then damage taken recouped as mana. So that is the gear. Now I want to stop for 1 second. 20% of damage taken recouped as mana, and this happens over 8 seconds. Also on the passive tree, we have this node, 20% of damage taken recouped as mana. That gets us to 40%. And then over here, this I've thrown on my amulet, 6% of damage taken recouped as mana. So that puts us to 46%. Now, if you don't have a good belt, this belt is very cheap. This is the Midnight Braid Rawhide belt, and it gives 50% of damage taken recouped as mana. So I was running this for a long time, and 96% of damage taken was recouped as mana. It's a great survivability mechanic for endgame. Again, it is over 8 seconds, so it takes a little bit to build up, but if you're struggling with survivability, that is a stat you can go into, and that is the gear. All right, everyone, that's the build guide. Is there anything I missed? Is there anything I could do to take this to the next level? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Of course, only if you think I have earned it. And if I haven't earned it, I'm going to work harder for you. Check out the Discord. We're approaching 4,500 members. We do a game giveaway or merch giveaway every 2 weeks. The current game giveaway is Last Epoch. It's where we do all our movie nights, game nights. It's an awesome place to hang out. And the best way to support is, of course, Patreon. We just did a studio tour, which is posted on Patreon. I'm done. Hopefully you were entertained or at least learned something. Aaron, out.